Senator Bernie Sanders has now introduced legislation to end the cash bail system. So this is pretty important. Now, Sanders' bill, introduced without co-sponsors, also important and maybe not the greatest thing, would end the use of secured bonds in federal court proceedings, provide grants to states that decide to implement alternate pretrial systems, and withhold grants from states that use money bail systems. So now the reason, of course, that I say that it's not great that there's no co-sponsors because it's because it doesn't look like this bill has majority bipartisan support, which, as I'm going to point out later on, should not be the case because this has already been done. But anyway, let's go further into the article. Now, speaking of course, other efforts, Representative Ted Lieu also introduced a companion bill in the House. So, look, this is just getting started. Maybe more co-sponsors will join in. Hopefully, he can get some of the more progressive members of the Senate, and Ted Lieu can get more progressive members of the House to sign on to this. This is actually a really good piece of legislation. Now, in his statement, Sanders, when he introduced it, said, quote, "Poverty is not a crime, and hundreds of thousands of Americans convicted of nothing should not be in jail today because they cannot afford cash bail." He said, in the year 2018 in the United States, we should not continue having a debtor prison system. Oh, absolutely. Now, here's the funny thing, right? So, look, before this was brought up as an issue for me a couple of years ago, I actually didn't think about it before. And I know that's crazy to say, but it's sort of an admission, right? That here was a blind spot that I had before learning about this issue. I mean, because beforehand, it's like, well, yeah, of course, cash bail. Yeah, that makes sense, right? You want to get out of jail early? Of course you should pay. Well, and I'm telling you that because I think to a lot of people, it doesn't occur to them how much of a messed up system this actually really is. I mean, when you think about it, it's kind of like, hey, wait a minute. What about the people who don't have the money who are there for something that's possibly minor? For example, possession. Possession of marijuana, for example, non-violent crime. Literally doesn't hurt anybody. But you're caught with possession, you get put in jail, you don't have bail money to get out, well, then I guess it looks like you're going to be sitting there for a while. Just because you don't have the money. So, now, of course, there are things called bail bondsmen, right? But there's big problems with that as well. A bail bondsman can actually charge around 10 to 15% of the total bail amount. So that is just a fee. It's a flat fee where they get to make money on that bond. So, great. So here you have a system that makes you borrow money with a 10 to 15% upfront fee on money that you have to take out just so that you don't sit in jail. I mean, really. That, of course, sets up a system where people with money can get out of jail. Yeah, hey, man, you do something wrong, you know, you can bail yourself out if you've got a lot of money. And then you can walk free until your court date. Whereas, if you don't have the money, well, you're stuck. You're going to sit in jail. And it's a gross system. And the thing is, we're kind of conditioned to think that this is now normal. I mean, of course, if you have money, you shouldn't be able to sit in jail. I mean, look, if you have money, likely you're successful. And if you're successful, you're important. You're more important to that person or than that person that doesn't have that money. It's just another reminder that what we have right now is a two-tiered justice system. Now, what's good is that right now 35 states are actually considering money bail legislation this year to change that. Because Senator Sanders is right, this does set up a debtor's prison style system. Now, New Jersey, for example, an appeals court also held up a key portion of the state's bail reforms, which eliminated cash bail for most criminal defendants and allowed judges to decide whether or not to detain them. Now, of course, after that happened, the bail bond industry was not happy. Guess what? Here's their defense of that system. Oh, well, I mean, look, the new system could favor dangerous criminals. So here's why that argument is bullshit. So again, this would allow judges to decide whether to detain people, right, or let them go without having to have a bail system. So do you think a judge is going to look at somebody who's a violent offender, right, a violent criminal, and go, free to go? I mean, until court date, of course, then you have to come back. But yeah, no, go ahead. We don't need to detain you at all. We trust you. That's not going to happen. That is very, very unlikely to happen. So that, of course, that is an industry talking point. It's going to help the criminals. It's going to help the violent criminals get out of jail and then run. No, it's not. Again, any smart judge is going to use their judgment to see whether or not that person deserves to go free until their trial date. So, but anyway, look, the whole reason that they're coming up with that, of course, is try to scare people because this is their revenue. Just like any industry that's built around something, whether it be the private prison industry, which is built around the whole idea of incarcerating Americans, they will try to protect themselves even when what they're doing is not only morally wrong, it's fiscally wrong, and also just damages the community and puts innocent people in prison for literally nothing. So I'm actually really happy to see legislation like this. And I think we need, like, Bernie Sanders needs more co-sponsors. Ted Lieu needs more co-sponsors. We need to get this through. And look, a lot of you might be saying, but Republicans, conservatives are totally against this. Well, there happens to be one. I guess he doesn't really count as a Republican, but this is Rand Paul. Now, Rand Paul last year actually had his own piece of legislation that did basically the same thing. Not only that, but here you had Kamala Harris also having her own piece of legislation. And to be fair, both of them beat Bernie Sanders to the punch. So that's good because there might be some potential bipartisanship to be had here. And that could actually lead to a good piece of legislation getting through Congress. I know that's scary, and it doesn't happen very often when they actually work together, because most of the time when Republicans and Democrats work together, it's to screw us. However, occasionally something good might actually get through, and I'm hoping this could be one of them, because this could help lots and lots of people, especially poor people, minorities, that get caught up in our two-tier justice system. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.